So, here to discuss the beautiful game, more than a game, disparity and opportunity in youth sports, my friend, soon to be yours, Steve Dosskey.
In the square. All right. So right off the top, this is going to come hard and fast, so buckle up. Two quick things. I want to clarify that I'm speaking at a personal capacity tonight, not as an LPS coach or employee. You'll see why. And secondly, what I'm about to talk about is not necessarily something new. It's kind of a problem without a solution, but I hope it kind of sparks some discussion, and hopefully you can all help. So as a coach, I've noticed, as a high school sports coach, I've noticed what's might be pretty apparent to a lot of people, that we have a performance gap in high school sports when it comes to poverty in this state and all over. Schools with lower poverty tend to perform a lot better. Schools with higher poverty tend to perform a lot worse. Again, this isn't necessarily a hidden phenomenon, but what I want to do is kind of crunch the numbers, check out the statistics and see if this actually held up and see what those disparities actually were. So about the better part of the last 3 years or so, I've been crunching data on the last 20 years of high school sports, collecting a bunch of data. During COVID, I really had time to buckle down and tackle it in earnest and see what's actually happening. And spoiler alert, this gap does exist kind of across the board. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. First off, this is going to be important. Free and reduced lunch. If your household income is a certain percentage of the federal poverty level, you qualify. It's a good indicator of general socioeconomic status of a given school, and it's also one of the only indicators that's tracked universally across the state. For every individual Class A sports season over the last 20 years, if you order all of the participating schools that season by the percentage of students that qualify for free and reduced lunch at that school, aka the poverty level, schools from the bottom half of this order make up about 75% of state qualifying teams or teams that finish top 8 at the state tournament and win about 82% of state championships. As you can see, in turn, the top half of this order, about a quarter of state qualifiers and about 18% of state championships. Moreover, if you break it down to the quartile level, that bottom quartile, that lowest percentages of poverty in a given season, end up taking home about 60% of state championships, a far cry from the upper two quartiles in this list. Now, obviously, it varies by sport. Some sports are more disparate than others, but with the exceptions of boys basketball, boys track and field, and to some extent boys cross country, this disparity holds up pretty much across the board, especially in girls' sports. But this is just at the state tournament level. For sports that actually have a win-loss record, we can, for every single school, plot their regular season performance directly against their poverty levels. And there's two examples right here, but we can see that higher poverty correlates with lower performance. That trend holds true. Now, what about here in our city, here in our community, here in Lincoln? These are the poverty levels of our 6 LPS high schools currently. They've fluctuated, obviously, over the last 20 years, but have been relatively spread out to this level and kind of in this same order. The number of state titles that each has won over the past 20 years kind of speaks for itself. And this chart, I think, is fascinating. While a school like Southwest, over the past 20 years, has qualified about 60% of their teams every season for the state tournament, a school like Lincoln High, less than 10%. There is a clear disparity even here at home in Lincoln. So why does this matter? Here's the thing. This is not just about who is good at sports. This is about young people having access to the opportunity to realize their full potential and having access to a full experience that enables them to do that. As a high school coach, I am passionate about youth sports and activities being some of the most formative and enriching experiences a young person can have. They give young people a chance to be a part of a team, something bigger than themselves, to work cooperatively towards a common goal, to understand what hard work is and to see it pay off, to learn how to lead, to be mentored and guided by coaches. It is an opportunity for every young person to see the potential and possibility within themselves, seize on it, build upon it, and realize it to the full. Every kid deserves this opportunity. The problem is they're not getting it, and this data suggests that poverty has something to do with it. This data suggests that access to those resources and opportunity, or rather lack of access and obstacles to those resources and opportunity, is having a consistent, tangible, and meaningful impact. It's an impact that I've seen firsthand with so many kids that I've coached over the years. And to be clear, this is not about if the good teams are actually good or the bad teams are actually bad or who is deserving of these particular outcomes. What it's about is that not everyone is getting the opportunity to realize their full potential and have that full experience in the first place. And I know this is just sports. There are a lot more pressing problems that we as a society are facing these days, but it's something. It is symptomatic of a much larger issue that we are wrestling with as a society, and it's so important to the way every single young person here in this community grows up and who they become. So this is an issue. I think there are a lot of ways that we can step in as a community. I've got a ton of ideas. I'm kind of trying to figure out how to get those started and where we might go with that. So if you find this interesting or you have ideas, come find me. Let's talk. I would love to figure out how to continue this. If you have ideas about how to go tackle this in your own slice of the community here in Lincoln, how to provide resources and opportunity to your own part of the community, don't come and get in touch with me. Just go do it. The world needs this. By ensuring that every single young person in this city has an opportunity to realize their full potential and have the full experience that enables them to do that, it is a rising tide that lifts all boats and makes this city, our home, even better and a place that we can all be even more proud of. Thank you.